All right, guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Cooldown presented by Midwest Motorsports. Um, just had to fix some audio issues, so we're going to go ahead and skip the formalities and hop into it, guys. So we're going to step into this week in motorsports. And do you guys mind if I lead off, or do you guys want to talk about the F1 race that was wrapping up the season?
Let her rip, man. What you got, Ant?
All right. So one thing I want to talk about this week is the drop of this new patch that's coming out with iRacing. So a lot of cool things that are happening. Anybody that's in our Discord, if you check the announcements tab, Josh Watt would have posted a big write-up on everything iRacing related that's coming out, along with a full YouTube clip showing the new BMW M2 that's coming. If you do look in there, you might see something that I'm actually really excited about, being that debris refresh. So, if anybody's been following this, which it's hard to see if you haven't, but we're going to start seeing some dirt, grass, mud, sand, gravel, everything you think of it's on the side of a track being drug up onto it. This is going to be interesting to see, especially since this update's going into effect tonight. I would imagine tomorrow during the road race, we're actually going to see this stuff live. And it's not just limited to the track, because I was seeing that iRacing's putting in a basically a feature where the pit crew is going to make sure that your guys' pit boxes are clean to start the race. Now, they left it at that. So to me, reading into that means that we're going to start gathering debris in the pit boxes. So pit boxes might become a thing that's going to be a little tricky. So if you guys have not had a chance yet, go look at the patch notes that are dropping. There's a lot of great things coming in the update tomorrow. And in all honesty, if you can go back and look at some of the developer notes, there's going to be some really cool things happening in the years to come with iRacing. They're working on a lot of great things, and hopefully everybody's computer still functions correctly tomorrow after the update. So make sure you guys are updating as early as you can. Don't be that person that waits until 10 minutes prior to the start of the race to boot up the iRacing app and see that, you have a gigantic update. Let's everybody check everything out early tomorrow and get your stuff updated and have a great finish to the Road Series season. That's all I got, guys. Is there anything to touch on that?
Those are big updates. I think it was Dustin that mentioned on the debris refresh about the getting offline as the race goes on in the oval tracks, and I think seems like already if you get offline a little bit later in the race, there's been some difference or track evolution as the race goes on, but for that to be exaggerated, I think could play out at a couple different tracks, especially short tracks, to get up in the high in the racing line. What do you guys oval racers think?
Yeah, I think you'll definitely get into the marbles, and you might just push right up to the wall and things like that. So like, I think maybe that aspect will hopefully, because what was it last big update or like 2 updates ago where they basically moved to where there's more of a transitioning line on oval tracks. And what was it that they like said basically the grip would actually move?
Yeah. So during the race, like, you have to actually search for grip.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly running the top, dipping down towards the bottom, you'll actually start to see like better, or vice versa. Like, you could actually run like slightly faster laps.
So I'm wondering, will this affect it as well or more, I guess, if if guys are moving around, or those marbles always going to just kind of walk up to the very top lane, or if guys are running the top pretty heavy, or the marbles are kind of going to be non-existent, or what the case will be. But it could be very interesting, I think. I think a lot of road guys are gonna struggle with them. I mean, my fear is, if a car runs off track like on and kicks up some gravel or dirt or whatever, like I would hope it's to the point where like, just because you touch a spot at speed on a road course, you're not just gonna like loop the car immediately, right?
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that's not the case because that would not be enjoyable. Like if I gotta try and like look around and try and dodge, a little patch of gravel, which I mean, yeah, it has effects on your vehicle, but not. I think if you're at speed, it's not detrimental to your grip as it would be, like a lower speed slow corner or something like that. But um, with the Tempest format, it'd be cool if you could just throw mud across the uh, track now if you run off track when it's raining. But maybe that's in the next patch.
I just hope that they maybe exaggerate some of the visual effects too, so that you know that you've run over something, because it would be unfortunate for there to be gravel or dirt on the track that you can't see and you didn't know to expect it as you go through it. And then why is my car having issues? I went through the same way I did last time, but there was dirt on the track, but I just didn't see it. So hopefully, it's obvious that you went through the dirt. You need to be careful getting back on. Or maybe I'm wishing too much, but I hope there's a way for you to recognize that you've gone through something and you can expect a difference in the physics.
Yeah, I
The
agree with you.
the one thing I'm interested in seeing is if it gets bad enough in a corner, like if somebody goes off track and drags like gravel up on, if they're actually going to yellow flag that corner.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, like if you're road racing, at least your spotter telling you like, hey, gravel in corner whatever or debris in corner whatever.
There's an orange and red flag. It's got vertical stripes. That's debris on the track, whether it's a transmission or oil on the track. They'll throw a debris flag.
Yeah.
That would be helpful for sure.
Yeah, with the oval side of things, one thing I'm interested in seeing is if people swerving left, right, left, right, left, right, saying they're heating up their tires, if that's actually going to help get some of those marbles off the tires. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Didn't they also say something about the next gens being a little more aero dependent when it comes to if you receive any damage and things? If you read through like the whole, let me see if I can pull it over real quick. But keep
Now, are you talking like if you say you knock the wall, like it affects you aerodynamically, so you lose speed on straight stretches?
yeah, they were talking about, I guess, more um
I guess more aero reliance on the car,
yeah, it
which
was more
not a bad
reworked
thing.
reworked aerodynamic damage penalties to provide greater downforce loss and a reduced drag penalty. Also, if your engine or wheels sustain heavy enough damage, it may be beyond your pit crew's skill to repair.
Ooh.
So,
Can you snip that and send that over?
So the
I'd,
pit
I'd
crew
like,
has like a rating. You got to build your pit crew up or something. Oh, that's like gamey. What the hell?
I feel like it's kind of always been a thing, actually, because like in open wheel, I think it's kind of been a thing where basically like if your car is completely destroyed and the series doesn't have a fast repair, they're basically like, yeah, it's toast.
Gotcha.
But it seems like maybe they're adding it. Maybe they're like taking it down a little bit, so where you know some lesser damages could cause that with the next gen. I'm assuming.
wow. Yeah, that's gonna be nuts.
It looks like they did the same thing. Yeah, they did the same thing to the truck as well. So, all right.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to watch how much damage you get and when you use that fast repair, because if it gets bad enough, you're toast. So, Justin, what do you got for us this week, man?
Well, the F1 season has come to an end. McLaren, P1 in the constructors since what, 1998, I believe, is what they said the last time they won the
20
constructors
years,
championship.
or pretty close to 20 years.
Yeah, so I mean that's big for them. They've been steadily improving year after year for probably the past 5 years, 6 years, longer. So that's big money to that team. With a lot of the new innovations going into their center and everything else, and the way they were able to develop that car kind of like right at the Miami, and build what that car was. I think they're going to be hopefully the force to be reckoned with, next season. Hopefully they can squeeze some more out of that car, but um, crazy race. A lot of drivers last races. Joe Guan Yu for Sauber, potentially Valtteri Bottas for Sauber, Kevin Magnussen with Haas. Definitely got to be Checo. Sergio Perez with Red Bull. It's got to be his last race. Um, am I missing anybody? It was an absurd number of drivers, which it was their. Oh, Franco Colapinto, apparently fill-in driver this season for the Williams team. No shortage of action even through qualifying. Did anybody see the Ballard incident with Lewis Hamilton?
Bruce. Yeah.
I'm just going to talk about the things I either thought were points or were funny, but Lewis Hamilton was setting up, I think, for his. Well, I think it was. I
Wasn't a
think it was his
setup.
last. I
He
think it was
was
a
ending his
flyer.
out. Yeah.
You're right. It was his last flyer of Q1,
Yeah.
and uh, all of a sudden he's basically like talking to Bono. Oh, like I'm cooked. Like it's this lap's blown. Blah blah blah. Well, lo and behold, Kevin, Kevin Magnussen, not even trying to be the menace that he is, just tried to get out of the way, and like it was at a really it was literally at the apex. Like he was trying his best just to get out of the way, but he knocked over one of like the plastic bollards that are right between the curbing and the wall in a section of the track. Kicked it over, and Lewis just gets it stuck under his front wing. So K Mag, he just what's to give anymore, and he's done. He's like, I'm just gonna create all the chaos that I can. So it was pretty comical just because of the K Mag, and I think my winner overall in qualifying though was Nico Hulkenberg. So
Yep.
when it went into Q3 starting P4 on the grid. So if anybody is a Haas fan, I am a Haas fan. I do root for the Haas. I've always liked Kevin Magnussen and kind of what he represents. I think he's a hard racer, and I think it's good for the sport. I think a lot. I'm a big F1 fan, but I think at a lot of times F1's kind of neutered as well. But to see that happening, and it's kind of a shame to Haas because he's really put that car in good positions. I think point scoring positions quite a bit. They've scored more points they have in the last probably 4 years. I think probably. I don't. I mean, I think they ended up finishing sixth or seventh. I don't have the standings in front of me. As terms of constructors, but so on to the race.
They
Wild lap
won.
one.
They beat Alpine for the constructors, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, they did end up beating Alpine. Um, so on to the race, a wild turn one, where the Red Bulls decided to do a pirouette spin. But that was mostly because of Max Verstappen. The door might have been slightly cracked open against Oscar Piastri, so the front row was a McLaren lockout, so which was really good for their chances at setting themselves up to win the constructors. But Lando gets off to a good start. He's leading the way. And really, it was I think it was kind of a late move by Max, if I'm being honest. But
Kinda.
he went he went for the small sliver of daylight in that opening of that door on Piastri, and runs him out wide as he usually does. But Piastri, I think, was on the line and had every right to be. And he was actually ahead. If you watch the replay, he definitely had his front axle ahead of Max's front wing, and they get tangled up. Piastri spins off one way, Max spins in the middle of the track, and so much avoidance by a lot of the drivers. I watched the science on board on that, and he almost like just came to a stop, like watching his onboard. So he made it through clean. Everybody else did, and then there was just I don't know how Checo spun. I think he just gave up or something. I don't even know how that happened, but um, a lot of that, and let's see, bunch of incidents. So after that, Piastri kind of ran into the back of Colapinto after that back stretch for the first DRS zone. Ended up getting a 10-second penalty for that. Liam Lawson, somehow he went into a pit stop. They dropped the car and the light indicator went green for like a second and then back to red, but he already started going, and somehow that was like an unsafe pit. So they dinged him for that, and then he had a loose wheel, so he had to come back in the pits. And then who else got penalties? Oh, Bottas got a penalty because I think he ran into the back of K-Mag pretty early, and there was so long in that race left, and Haas was like, "You're already like out of the points. Let's just throw set of softs on and just let you go rip. Like enjoy the ride." Like I think that's all that was about because I was
Nice.
like,
Okay.
surely surely they don't think that softs are going to go for like over 20 laps here.
That's
So
why
I
he
think
went the purple lap. I was wondering how that happened.
yeah, I think they were just like, you've been with the team a long time, Kevin. Just this is your last ride, man. Just go have a good time. Um, but in the end, it was a P1 from Lando. Oh, Lewis Hamilton had a hell of a drive back too. What he started like 15th, 16th, and
17th. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
after penalties, yeah, you ended up starting the race like 15th.
yeah. So he ended up bringing it home and the P4 in his last ride with Mercedes, which is pretty cool. So um, that was neat to see. But finishing order, we had Lando P1, Carlos Sainz P2, and then Charles Leclerc coming in P3. But even with the double podium by Ferrari, since Lando was able to win, get max points, McLaren they squeaked through. It wasn't tight, like it wasn't by like 2 points or anything, but they were still able to amass quite a bit over Ferrari. But basically, Lando had to go out, win the race. He did it. He had an awesome race. So kudos to them. So I'm sure there will still be a lot of shuffling going on before next season with a lot of the different announcements and things like that. So I think it was a good F1 season. I think there was a lot of competition. It didn't seem like that for a while, but as teams, really developed their cars, through the early to later half of the midpoint season and to the end of the season, I think everything got pretty exciting. No shortage of drama. Some of the races were a snooze fest, but it wasn't a complete runaway. I don't think, in years past with say Mercedes dominance, it wasn't a complete, by week 3, who's going to be the champion and the constructors champion. So, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, the season's over. Congrats to all the champions, of course. I think a lot of people watch Formula One for a lot of different reasons. I love the technology part of it. Of course, I love the racing part. as well, but technology just moves at such a high rate. We're on the next season will be the last season for this car before the new technology update. So the updates won't be coming as hot and fast because they're working on the 26 car. But seems like as the technology changes, they bring new upgrades. The momentum from a constructor changes, and it's up to the driver to get the most out of the car that they've got at the time. So, like I said, there's lots of different reasons people watch F1 and the tracks, especially the speed. Open wheel racing is a lot different than sedan racing. So, just different type of racing. You can find it what you like, and if you don't like it, sometimes you can just watch the 20-minute highlights and get what you want out of it. So, it's enjoyable. Just get what you want out of it. That's what I think about any racing. I love F1. I think it belongs for sure.
Yeah, the technology aspect, and I mean, not even the say aero or any type of performance stuff, but like the safety. I always think about the Grosjean crash from a couple years ago. I mean, it was just amazing. That car was designed to break away like it did, and regardless if he was stuck kind of underneath of a guardrail or not. I mean, for him to be able to survive something like that, is just amazing, and it goes to show it's not all about your raw speed and performance of designing the car. There's a lot of strict safety elements involved in it as well.
Yep. It may take a couple of years, but it trickles down into road, consumer safety within, a couple of years. So hopefully the battery tech and the stuff that they're learning, regen, will come to play as well. Keeps you excited and looking forward to what's next,
For
All
sure.
good. But as you mentioned the safety part, one thing that we don't have to worry about in the Midwest Motorsports leagues is getting a wreck and getting hurt. So, you ready to talk about Midwest Motorsports racing yet?
Yeah, we can go ahead and we can hop into the road series. But before we head there, I have one comment to make about the people not getting hurt during racing. We might need to make an exception for Mr. Hopper if he keeps racing in his boxers.
You knew exactly where I was going with it. Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, Bud, go ahead. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the road series that was out at Spa over the weekend.
Let's hop right into it. I see what you did there, Ant. Nice job. Yeah, the road course was in its road series was in their next to last race of the season at Spa Francorchamps with the Tempest system running the wet race. And man, there's so much going on that race. It was hard for me and Adam to keep up with all the incidents. I think everybody had a chance to spin around or go through the gravel. Everybody except Chase, who ended the race with a 1X, I believe. Chase Fincher, the points leader and the winner, flag to flag. So congrats to Chase Fincher, the Pro Division winner. In the M Division, Christopher Hopper won the race. We talked about it in the post-race interview. I'm sorry I didn't have it flipped by the time we got to the cool-down lap today. He had some stuff going on today, but man, he was so excited to win the race. We talked about it in the post-race interview that he actually was racing in the race and his butt cheeks were clenched so tight because he was actually winning the M Division on an overall podium. So he had to rip him off for the post-race interview. So he did the post-race interview butt naked. Luckily for everybody else, we ended up, which I thought was a great idea. Now, I know everybody that's listening to this, if you're listening to this, you've been probably paying attention to some of the road series chatter that's going on. But Christopher Hopper auctioned off his underwear that he raced. This is not a joke, everybody. If the Oval Series is not privy to the Road Series chat, this is real life we're talking about here. Christopher Hopper framed in a shadow box frame his underwear and auctioned them off to the highest bidder.
Hold on. It has a what do they call it? A tag of authenticity too. So these aren't some cheap knockoff. These are legit, sweating, dirty,
Not washed.
E3 at Spa, podium winning underwear.
Yes, the shadow box, a silent auction that ended up not being silent, but I guess it was silent because it was only pictures and text. But yeah, his underwear to charities. There were two charities that Christopher Hopper mentioned for Travis Rowe and Keith Hurlbut. Their charities of choice. Over $365 was raised by your Midwest Motorsports League members to charity for race worn underwear by the M Division winner, podium winner, Christopher Hopper. So Midwest Motorsports doing good in the world. $365 was donated to charity. The their certificate of authenticity, easy for me to say, and verification that the money was donated to charity has been proven, that we are doing good in the world. So I thought that was really awesome tribute to a way to turn something funny into a way to make donations to charities. So hats off to all the Midwest Motorsports League members who donated, auctioned off, and raised the price. So I don't know exactly who the winners were. I think it was, you know who the winners were there, Justin?
Yes. Actually, uh, the funny part is the socks went to so there was a pair of socks which went to Gerard Rupert. He ran here a while ago, a couple seasons ago.
Sizzle.
Yep, G Sizzle. And very funny, and I don't know how this is gonna work in their household or not, but a driver's wife was the winning bidder for Chris's underwear. So Keith Hurlbut's wife, Nikki, is the recipient of the underwear.
I wonder.
One
I
second.
don't know. I don't know if we want to ask more into that or not, or just let it ride. But
Justin,
what?
can you quote Nikki's winning bid comment?
Yeah. Let me.
Can
You're
you
gonna have
quote
to bear
that?
with me. I gotta go find it. Let me scroll up. Let me scroll up.
I just want to hear you read this.
The one her bid.
Yeah, for her bid.
Suck it, bitches. And then Keith, under that, he didn't place another bid. Keith said, "So my wife is out here spending $300 for another dude's underwear."
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, Chris did warn everybody about the pheromones that might be coming off of that. I hope the box is nice and sealed up. It could be bad for Keith and Nikki. It could be maybe good for Keith. I don't know. So I guess we'll just leave it at that. We'll keep it PG and leave it at that.
What if the pheromones turn Keith into Hopper? What if he has that kind of? I mean, he's a sci-fi writer. There might be some kind of witchcraft here.
I think that as much as everybody here, and if you're not a fan of Chris Hopper, there's something wrong with you. I think as much
For
as
sure.
everybody loves Chris Hopper, I think one is enough. we don't need another one. Another one would be welcome.
After they move him.
Another one would be welcome, but I think one is plenty. I think one is plenty. But I was in a bar in Canada with Justin Gleckner watching that race, and had my iPad out on. We were sitting in a corner booth, enjoying a nice drink, and watching the race live. And man, that was such a good race. I'm glad Chris was able to do that, and he seems to knows something about driving in the wet because Montreal got his first win. It was raining. And he goes to Spa, wins the AM class, and gets a podium, overall podium as well. So kudos to him. And Chase looked like he was just in cruise control, and so it looked like a really fun race to watch. Sure it was fun and aggravating for some drivers, but it looked to be a good time.
Yeah, like I say, I think everybody had a chance to go through the gravel or spin around or get a full taste of the Tempest system as the track did. It was almost different. Just about every lap, it seemed there was different water puddles or different levels of water track saturation. So it was a lot of fun to call. Me and Adam, like I say, we didn't know where to look, but there's some really good racing too, side by side. Lots of give and take when they were side by side. So most of the off tracks and incidents were single car, involved. They weren't really a lot of argy bargy or poor driving. This series just the road series just continues to show that you can race with respect and race hard and race clean and fair and put on a great show and still have an exciting 60-minute race, and not know who the winner's going to be. Well, at least who the podium's going to be. Chase ran away with it. He just kept it clean, and his practice paid off. You mentioned after the race that he gave a lot of credit to all the practice that he was able to do from the league members setting up practice sessions. So this coming up week is the finale at the Indy Road Course. I'm thinking everybody's hoping it's going to be dry the whole time, which I expect it to be. And the the champion's not completely defined, but Michael Odell is going to have to work really hard to get any grounds on Chase, and Ron Kubilta's got a big lead on the AM division as well. But we're going to run the race for 60 minutes tomorrow night. Race time starts at 7:25. So if you're watching the stream, we'll be right here at Twitch-Rivenvale. 7:25 tomorrow night is the start time for the season finale of the Road Series.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people have been following all the racing that goes on with our league. I don't know if the road guys follow the oval or if the oval follow the road, but there's actually something really interesting happening this week where our NASCAR Next Gen Cup Series and our GT4 cars are both in Indianapolis for the road course during the same week.
That's cool.
Yeah, so been kind of kicking around the idea with a couple other admins, and we're gonna pull the trigger on this. So this Thursday, I'm gonna put up a practice session so the Cup guys can get some practice. It's gonna start at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to go until about 9 or 10 p.m. I'll get the final time up at that, but we're also going to add the GT4 cars in. So it's going to be a oval meets road series practice session. Since it's a practice session, we don't have to worry about guys running each other over in the corners and it actually costing positions. It'd just be great to see both series get out there at the same time since they're both in the same city at the same time.
Yeah.
And just have some fun. Go out there, let loose, and turn some laps. So I'll have that information up. I'll go ahead and make it at the end of the podcast and post it in the announcements. Anybody that wants to join, you're more than welcome to. I just want to see if we can get both of these cars out on the track and everybody have some fun.
For sure.
So we could to move on to points.
Yeah, sure. I skipped over that kind of quickly, but yeah, like I say, Chase Fincher's got a pretty substantial lead. Michael Odell is going to have to really work hard to make up ground, but with bonus points, Chase is pretty good doing the bonus points too. So it's 700 points, I think, over Chase. He has to get, is that 6 something? Yeah. So That's tough to overcome. And then the M division, I can scroll down. Like I say, Ron Kabiltas has about 500 points over Kaluguru. So that's actually a possibility too, but Ron Kabiltas is going to have a really tough race.
Yeah, and Indy is a fun track, but you overdrive one or two of them corners, you're going to end up out in the grass, and we all know what's going to happen this week when you go into the grass. So let's see how everything turns out. Tomorrow in Indy for the Road Series, 7:25 going green. You guys can catch it here on the Twitch Rivenvale channel and watch how the series plays out.
Yeah, and so I saw the results from practice, and they're all over the place. I mean, they put a practice session up tonight. Jesse Coffey was the leader of the practice session. Of course, you don't get any points for winning practice, but Jesse Coffey's been fast all season long, just hadn't had the luck of the results. CJ Barzak was third, Jason Phillips second. We know he's fast everywhere and everything he does. And JT got P4 in practice. So Justin is in there with a chance. Tomorrow night, are you going to make it, right? You're not hanging out in a bar. You're not working this week, Justin?
No. I just did come to the realization actually earlier. I may be missing.
No, don't say it.
this race.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
All good. You got to do what you got to do. But
I don't want to do that. I'd rather be racing, brother.
yeah, always. All good. But either way, my point is that there's going to be great competition. The broadcast is going to be great. Me and Adam try to be entertaining. We have a good time doing it. So we're going to wrap up the season with some fun stuff too. So tune in tomorrow night, 7:30, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And for anybody interested in those two charities that were donated to, if you guys want to donate to those, I'm sure you can contact Chris Hopper for more information. But the one's Hope Driven, and the second one is Breakthrough TD1, if I'm reading that correctly in our chat. So anybody that would like more information on that, if you're in Discord, you can reach out to Chris, or you can post something up, and I'm sure somebody get a hold of you with more information. So 'tis the season, being December. It's a great time to donate to people that are a little less fortunate or need some help this time of year. So once again, we appreciate it, Chris. Good job, league, turning out and putting some money towards a great cause. So we'll again wrap up Road Series. So we're gonna head into the trucks now. Truck Series was out in Charlotte for the Forever race. How did that go, guys?
Oh,
Took
I thought it
forever.
was awesome. Justin may not think the same thing.
That's all
Would you
good.
say, Justin?
I said it took forever.
It was a long one. So I have a quick question. I mean, 200 laps. Has it always been 200 laps, or was it 200 miles in the past? I don't
I
remember
don't know.
last season's patriotic racing race feeling as long, but luckily I had Walker McNulty in the booth with me, so we were able to call some good racing. Some good shout out to vets while we were at it. But after the competition caution, there was only one natural caution for a little, I guess, argument over real estate, which usually happens in every series. But only one caution for such a long race, I thought was a good showing for the trucks. 19 trucks showed up for the race. So I think that a smaller turnout, not having 33 cars may have played into that. Trucks may have played into that a little bit as well. But I thought it was an entertaining race with green flag pit cycles. Always has comers and goers and makes it a little easier. The speed differential makes it easier to get around somebody and continue on with your race, as opposed to trying to force a move or having to move somebody to get past.
Yeah.
Am I saying that wrong, Ant? I know you're not
No,
in it, so you can give me a outside looking in kind of perspective as well.
no, you ain't saying it wrong. Was that the incident where we had a truck go airborne?
No, So that
Oh.
did not even bring out a caution because my man Nicholas Aslin, who I don't know if he got a screenshot of it for the stream. I should have thought about that beforehand, but Nicholas Aslin had a blinker in front of him who hit the wall and came up on him so fast that he almost appeared out of nowhere. Remember, it was a night race. It may have been a dark paint on the guy's truck as well, but Nicholas Aslin right in front of the guy who was bouncing off the wall with about a 20-mile-an-hour speed differential and did a full 360 rollover, just a tail touch on the kick flip, basically. Landed on his wheels. By the time he got it straightened up, he was right at pit entrance, and Nick Haslin kept driving it until he couldn't drive it no more. You know, they say you're a pilot, you know, fly it to the ground, keep flying it until it's no longer in the air. Drove it into the pit lane and got a quick repair and got back on the road like he meant to do it. So no caution was needed. We missed it on the stream. Thankfully, Nicholas went back through, or somebody went back through a replay, maybe have been Michael Harris Jr. Went back through and threw a replay up on the chat. But shout out to Nicholas Aslin for doing a perfect 10 out of 10 on the kick flip with his NASCAR Craftsman truck. That was pretty incredible. Did you guys see any of the replays? Justin, did you catch the replay that was thrown up?
I haven't watched the replay yet, but that specific incident happened literally right in front of me, so it was pretty terrifying to watch in real time. No, I haven't. It's on my list of things to do.
Truck driver chat.
So.
Yeah, I seen it in the truck driver chat as well. That was pretty interesting. I didn't know he Tyler Reddicked it and drove it back to the pits. So hats off to you, man, that you're still able to drive that thing. But so how was the race, Justin? Like, did any certain line work out for that truck that you were driving? Was it the bottom, middle, top? I guess, what were you seeing out there?
I think there's a good variety of trucks kind of everywhere. You know, especially as your tires worn. You know, I kind of found it easier to adjust my line. Like it seemed like, you know, especially with these races, and everybody's you're almost still racing everybody because of how impactful the multiple types of pit strategies are. So I think you really just needed to be moving around and, you know, find whatever line you have to take to be able to, you know, get around somebody. So, for instance, like, you know, if I was coming up on somebody who was running the bottom line, I was trying to run the middle. I found the middle kind of gave you quite a bit of speed, especially through 1 and 2. A little less through 3 and 4, in my opinion, but there was trucks all over the place, which I think, you know, those longer races and how we have, you know, all the various types of pit strategies now, even in the shorter, you know, our standard race lengths, have really played a big effect on, I guess, how guys are gonna run that track. It's not really just you know, it's not a follow the leader in the top, bottom, whatever, but I think you definitely had to move around quite a bit to take advantage of where you were on track, where another truck was. But I think pretty much in open air I was running the same line, which I was kind of just entering high, letting the truck, you know, rotate and drive it down to the bottom. But depending on, you know, what was happening in front of me, just trying to move around and take the alternate line, you know, not get stuck behind somebody who I wanted to, you know, get past for whatever reason, whether it was on track for position on the same lap or just try and get past them as quickly as possible to put some more space between you and that person.
That's such a skill. You know, this is a question that I had prepared to ask for the Cup Series, but as your tires wear down, how do you know how to vary your line? Like I come from a road background. I don't iRace, very often. So um, I don't have the iRacing specific tire model experience. But I mean, that's the only way you can really get it to learn to know how to adapt your racing line based on your tire percentage or your tire wear or where you are in the stint effectively, to know which racing line is faster. How do you get that experience other than just racing? I don't even know if you can get that experience racing AI because they're so different from real world drivers. How do you learn how to know how to change your line? How do you develop that skill?
I don't know. Andy, you want to go first, or
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's more so time, because when you first start out racing, you plant your foot on the floor and you go, because they put you in the street stocks. And then as you get more progressed, you go through the ARCA series and you get into trucks and cup and everything, you find that planting your foot on the floor doesn't really help. So then you got to figure out how to take your turns. And then you're going 20 laps and you're finding people are blowing by you that you blew by at lap 6 or 7 because you were taking off like a rocket. So then you got to go in and figure out, okay, how do you manage your tires? And it all just kind of, after so many races and seasons and driving around the same people, helps a lot. But you kind of get to a point where you kind of just glue it all together where, okay, I got to take care of my tires. I got to make sure I ain't hearing tire squeal going through the corners, because tire squeal is a big indicator that you're killing your tires. And you just know when you go to that type of track, because Charlotte's a lot like, we'll say, Richmond, or it's a lot like there's other tracks out there that are kind of the same that you can run the same lines at, and you kind of get that general knowledge of, okay, I gotta run the middle, this guy's gonna run the bottom. I can kind of get off the gas a little early and get on it faster and him going through the corner. And it's just things over time that you learn, and it's just, all kind of pieces itself back together.
that just kind of knowing, I guess, where you can run the fastest without needing to lean on the tire so much, with as little input as possible. Steering the car with either dragging the brake a little bit or using throttle to help rotate the car.
Oh,
Um,
one other good thing there, Jay, is
figuring that stuff out.
your strategy, knowing your strategy going into the race, because I like these long races. There were a couple drivers that triple stinted tires, and you really wanted to baby those tires up until you knew you were doing a tire change, and then you just drove the rubber off them.
Yeah. You need to know when, I guess, where to save your tire, and then when to use it. Like Anthony said, if you're going up on a stop where you're like already knowing you're going to take tires, will use up as much of that tire as you can. Don't leave any rubber on there to be wasted, right? With a lap time degradation, right? Use up every little bit that you can.
Well, it's definitely a skill that you could tell who has the skill and who doesn't, because, like I say, as the fuel runs out, if there were a couple of guys that could go 2 or 3, maybe even 4 laps longer. Shout out to Brandon Cotton. Eric Thaler went 30 laps on a stint where some other guys were pitting at 26. That may not seem like a 4-lap difference is a big difference in your tire wear, but on that 4th cycle, you're now looking at like 16 laps difference between when a guy pitted and when a guy has freshies. So that speed differential is pretty significant and made a big difference when it comes down. Plus, Brandon Cotton was able to save um, an extra fuel stop over Justin as well. So it played out towards the end of the race different than it might, at the beginning of the race. So you got to know where the checker flag is too. And this being the longest race of the season, I think that effect may have been exaggerated as well. But yeah, shout out to the truck guys for being able to go green for so long. It was a great race. You never knew what was going to happen. It was fun to see guys go around past Dustin Reinstedel like he was going backwards that may not have that chance to pass Dustin in a different type of race or shorter race with a lot of yellows where everybody's on the same tire and fuel strategy. Everybody's topped off and got relatively the same tire stint. So I vote we keep the long races. But as long as we don't have 20 of them in a season, I think we can keep Walker and the broadcast.
Oh, so the full length schedule / full race lengths probably isn't something we should be doing.
Say that again?
Full length schedule and full race length.
Not my preference, but hey, I'll call whatever you guys want to do, man. All good. I don't think we'll have that many people signed up for that anyway, so I think I'm safe.
Yeah. Congrats, Dustin, on the win. I went ahead throwing the points up for the truck series here. So Dustin is the lead there. Robert Sanders in second. He's roughly 31 points behind.
Right.
Havoc is 37 points behind and third of second place. Jason Phillips, surprising there, man. Good run this season. Fourth place. He's holding it down strong there, coming from the road series.
Those are points, I think, right?
Yep.
Race results. Okay, good. Just checking.
Yep. Fourth place in points, which is, again, great job coming from the road series. He's been solid all season so far, so congrats to him. And top 5 in points just to round it out. Andrew Miller there, 1 point difference between him and Jason Phillips in fourth. So that's all I have for the truck series points. Did you want to go through the race results?
Oh no, it's cool. It's cool. I was just making sure that Brandon Cotton got a shout out. Nicholas Aslan, even with the flip, still got P3. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a drive back right there.
Yeah, can't say enough about that. And shout out to everybody for doing the red, white, and blue paint scheme, the patriotic race. It was a lot of fun to see different paint schemes. Nick Aslan brought out the red, white, and blue Pepsi. Dustin had an army camo that looked pretty cool for his uncle Terry Casey. And yeah, everybody's red, white, and blue paints looked awesome. Jason Phillips had a red, white, and blue big ass fans paint. So yeah, it was fun to throw different curveballs in the season and make it fun. So shout out to all our truckers for taking the time to change the paints too.
Yep. So the truck series is in Sonoma this Friday.
Going road courses.
Yeah, road courses. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it to Indy. They wanted to go out to California, so their loss. There should be a practice session. I believe Jason Phillips is going to put one up sometime in the middle of this week. I can't remember if it's Wednesday or Thursday. But keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm going to throw up a happy hour prior to the race start. And if you have not seen, again, Josh Watt posted about the competition caution, safety car being deployed. We do that on the road course and the oval side. So if you aren't familiar with it, please feel free to reach out to myself or Josh Watt, and we can walk you through the process. It's quite simple once you get into it, but not knowing what it is could be a little intimidating going into the race. So feel free to reach out anytime this week and have some fun out there in the trucks, guys. That's going to be a fun race. I'm expecting the number 2 truck to have some competition out there with Jason Phillips, and we'll see if Ty can run that race too. So we'll go ahead and move over to the Cup Series, who also had the all-nighter. So they were also out in Charlotte Motor Speedway along with the trucks. James, this one actually turned out to be a really suspenseful race towards the end.
Oh yes, man, are you kidding me? Very similar. competition caution at lap 20. Everybody comes in and tops off. I don't think anybody changed tires on that first cycle. But then, yeah, we went back racing and it went green flag all the way to the end. And the pit cycles were absolutely incredible. Excuse me, my throat is catching up to me, but green flag cycles all the way, very similar as comers and goers, based on your tire stint and your fuel strategy, determined whether you had speed or not. You know, there wasn't really a group of leaders and then a second pack, which sometimes happens even on 1.5 mile tracks. So this just seemed to be an outlier of a race, not only in the length, but the way the race played out. Everybody was minding their own business and doing their own math in their head while they were driving. And I was going to ask you guys tonight, in addition to racing your own race and racing your own strategy, what kind of math were you doing in your head trying to count the number of pit stops and whether you take tires or here or there? And I'm sorry you had a little difficulty with your VR charging sequence. So you didn't get to run it out all the way to the end, but what in the middle of the race, beginning of the race, how are you calculating whether you take tires or not? With 5 sets on the floor, it should be said that, you know, road guys have unlimited tires and usually only one pit stop in an hour race. But this oval series, you have 5 sets of tires in addition to the one you start with. So 6 tires, which means 6 different opportunities to change tires, but 11 or 12 stops if you calculate the fuel all the way. So how are you determining when you take tires or not?
I mean, you kind of go into it knowing that if you want to either double stack your tires at the end, like your last 2 pit stops have tires so you can make up ground, or charge if you're in the lead and stretch your lead, you're going to have to sacrifice in the beginning of the race. So going into it, I kind of knew starting off, since it's a long race, I wanted to give up as much as I needed to at the beginning of the race, whether that was through fuel saving and tire saving. So I kind of set up a number in my mind and just kind of stuck with that number. 1 second, guys. I got to step away real quick. Justin, what'd you do?
It screwed it up apparently.
Almost had it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of like go with it the opening stages and see kind of what I'm getting mileage wise, and then using crew chief to kind of tell me how much fuel I'll need to the end of the race. So that's one of the features I use in crew chief is I have a button mapped on all my wheels where he just kind of tells me what I'll need basically to get to the finish with like I think I have a half lap or so buffer in there. So like the end of the race plus a half of a lap to go. So I kind of like monitor that, and like honestly in this race I have a mount on my rig for my phone, so like trying to go down during a right after like a pit stop, or if I'm on a long straight, I'll safely try and open up the calculator app on my phone, punch in, the number of, so I was doing it off of the number of tire sets that I had left, so I knew how far I would have had to take each set, and just kind of calculate like how many stops I'll need, and then like if it's a goofy number, like I'll try and just hit that so I can get rid of, a fuel stop if I can. Like if maybe if I have a splash, like if I only need like 3 gallons more than what a full pit stop would be, I'll try and save that. That way I don't have to make the trip down to pit lane just for a little splash and dash, if I can. But didn't work out for me too well either night. So I got some work to do in the strategy department, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Two things there, real quick. We're gonna have to put a rule in so you can't run the calculator while you're driving. That's about the equivalent of texting and
Oh,
driving.
come
It's a
stop.
hands-free zone.
What I was saying earlier. Sorry, I had to step away for a quick second, but the big thing in these races, the long races, if you're going to run strategy, is you have to sacrifice at some point in the race.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was kind of taking a book out of Cotton's playbook there, or taking a page out of it, and sacrifice at the beginning, save up as much fuel as you can, stretch some laps. I think the first pit stop, I was able to stretch 31 laps, and then after that, I think I had like a 6 or 7 lap buffer on when the other guys were pitting, and it just gradually grew. Which again, me and Cotton were kind of running the same fuel strategy. Tires, I think we differed a little, but we had the same fuel strategy going, because we were right around a lap of each other. So it's just that kind of stuff, and you got to do the mental math when you're driving and think like, hey, I'm saving this much fuel, because my fuel calculator, the iRacing one, goes off of your foot. So if you're running full bore, it's going to change your fuel for that run versus what your last run was. It ain't going to say like, hey, you can go 30 laps every time. It's going to adjust. So you kind of have to be cognizant of how you're driving and how much fuel you're using. But that these strategy races, honestly, in my opinion, bring on some of the best racing in our league. Again, my opinion. I'd much rather see this than people with unlimited tires and enough fuel to make the race without having to pit, because this makes you think, and if you think right, there's times I've been burned by strategy, but if you think right, you really get some gains out of this.
Yeah, and it was great for us because it helped us. For me and Walker, I mean, it gave us a lot to talk about for sure. But I mean, it was really, really interesting to see everybody leading the race. You know, I think everybody had a chance to lead because, especially towards the end of the race, you know, like I was talking on the truck series, there was like a 10 or 15 lap difference on who was when you came into pit. Um, So I really do think just about everybody got a chance to lead the race, and even if it was only for 4 or 5 laps, you know, to be in the conversation for battling for the current lead. If a caution came out, then it would have worked out just right for him and kind of reset the field. So um, I hope everybody had a good time running those races, because sometimes it could be monotonous to kind of run your own race and knowing that you're going to have to let somebody go, and your only reason you're passing them is because you're on a different set of tires. It might seem, you know, demoralizing to get passed by somebody who's in 8th place, you know, at the end of the race, but keep focused on and in the race, knowing that you got a chance, man. I mean, it was just, I think the racing was exciting, and I don't think you knew who was going to win the race until it came down to the very final pit stop. And even then, you didn't know, because unfortunately, the guy that cycled out to the win saved a pit stop, or to the winning position with 15 laps to go or less. Um, Ended up getting tangled up with um, um, a slow car who was just recovering from a half spin, cycled back through the grass, gathering it back up. Brandon Cotton ended up catching the guy from in the lead and damaging his car and running into the wall. Just total heartbreak for running 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours, um, and cycled out to the lead with 10 to go, and then crashes into the wall and has to come in and cycle down to the pits. So very unfortunate for um, Brandon Cotton to win. Have you ever? I mean, that's a beat that's going to go down in history. I mean, I don't think he's going to forget that race for a long time. You guys ever lost a race like that? Justin, have you lost? Have you lost one? Something like that happening?
Mm,
Couple? More than one?
no, I'm trying to. I don't think so.
Okay.
Don't think so.
I have one that I know of that I always remember, and I got tagged coming out of turn 2 at Martinsville, and got spun. I was leading the race at the time. That one, it always sticks in the back of my mind whenever I'm leading the race and there's somebody behind me that I get just a little bit kind of like on edge.
All right,
But
this can happen again.
yeah, it's something that kind of sticks with you. Especially, I mean, everything was falling in his favor. He eliminated a complete pit stop. He played the strategy right. He had a new set of tires. Like,
The last 2 stints, he put on
yeah,
fresh for all 4 last 2 stops.
the way it worked out, he had a 6-second gap on Dustin and a 7-second gap on Ty before that accident happened, and he was still putting time on them. So
Yep, he was pulling
that's a
away.
hard one to swallow.
Yeah.
But
I was taking
ma-
the hats to victory lane, and I was telling everybody. I always tell everybody, don't take the hats to victory lane to the checkered flag. But I was on my way to victory lane with the hats for Brandon Cotton, repping the Coast Guard truck in the patriotic race, by the way, Coast Guard car as well. Um, so heartbreak for Brandon
well,
Cotton.
well, a little bit of insight for anybody listening that isn't in the admin group that James and I are in. After my VR headset quit, I grabbed a beer, went out to the garage, and started cleaning up a sink I'm going to install. And Michael Harris messaged me, kind of asking about why I dropped out of the race, probably for the broadcast, I imagine, just kind of get some insight on it. And I was cleaning the sink, and I was like, I'll turn the race on, see what's going on. I tell you what, I stopped cleaning that sink and I started watching because I knew, as I was talking with James and Michael, that this was a strategy race at that point, and Dustin had such a huge lead that the strategy had to play out right. So you wanted to, it kind of got you glued in to watch and see, like, can he actually make up this difference? And he did. I was grabbing the hats with James, man. I was down at the truck grabbing the hats. But again, I mean, that's, you got to run the race, you got to finish the race out, and things happen. I mean, if it wasn't somebody sitting there in the turn, or in the, what do they call it, dog leg, trying to correct themselves, it could have been a lap car not giving him enough space to complete his corner and them wrecking there. I mean, these things happen in racing. You just gotta kind of take your beatings when you get them, move on to your next race, because whenever you get that win, it just makes it better. So
Right.
rough one, but we're hoping to see him again here next week, and hopefully he can come out and put on a strong showing.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I think he will be back, man. Um, he gets it. You know, he gets the big picture. He's here for the right reasons. He's here to win, but he's also here to have fun, and that's always the goal at Midwest Motorsports. But it did give Ty Williams an opportunity to run down Dustin Reinstedel, um, and he did. It was a little touch and go there. With about 5 or 7 to go, he caught up to Steve Hansel, and I think it was the 73 Aaron Olroyd side by side racing for their position, which, of course, they're definitely encouraged to do. But Ty Williams almost uh, didn't get a chance to run down Dustin, but Ty was on a little fresher tires than Dustin was. And Ty Williams in the 81 got around those lappers and caught back up to Dustin with about 1 or 2 to go, maybe 3 to go. Uh, Dustin was just on older tires and tried his best to keep Ty behind him, but couldn't do it. And Ty came around and brought it home for the win. So, congratulations to Ty Williams for coming through some adversity in the middle of the race. I had a couple of moments where it could have gone sideways for him, but kept his cool and brought it home for the win. Dustin Reinstedel had a strong second after leading the pit cycles almost all the race. I mean, Ty didn't put a foot wrong. He ran his own race, and Dustin didn't put a foot wrong either. Ran his own race, was in the front most of the race, leading the pit cycles, first one to pit out of the lead almost every cycle. So Dustin ran a great race. And Walker McNulty also capitalized and got a strong podium. So we got to talk to Walker for a cup race. P3, he was pretty happy about that and should have been. I thought Eric was going to have a much stronger finish because he was running a long pit cycle as well. Made his fuel last 30 laps more than once. But at a self spin, coming out of pit lane, I think he said a bump caught him on cold tires and at a half spin and correction. So that set him back after that. Probably lost a little bit of motivation as well. But strong top 5 for Eric Thaler, who is your points leader now. I don't know if you switched
Yep.
titles yet. You have got it right on cue. Thanks, Ant. Eric Thaler, Aaron Holroyd now holds down second in points, and Justin Thaler holds down third in points early in the season. But Cup season is heating up. You never know who's going to win. Road course for them as well. Cup Series goes road racing out at Indy Road Course this weekend. What do you think we're going to see, Ant?
Well, hopefully we don't see carnage in turn 1. I don't know, man. That's a hard one. I mean, the track. It all depends on how hot that track is. If this car is going to be skating around, you're going to see a lot of self spins and people losing it going through the S's or again, turn 1, lap 1's going to be interesting to see how everybody gets through it. It's going to be interesting.
I think Justin's got a chance at winning. Justin's always good at road course. He's going to have some extra practice on the Indy road course and the GT4s. So, JT, what do you think your chances are, man?
Hopefully I can make the race, man. Be real bummed if I can't, because I love racing the Cup car at the Indy Road Course. I think it's a great track for it. I think it suits it very well. There's the technical aspects of Indy Road, and there's the high speed front and back stretch, which are fun. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It'll be the fuel load's a lot different in the car this season. So wherever the comp lays and where guys think they're gonna take their pit stops, if they're gonna stay out during the safety car and things like that. But um, yeah, Indy Road Courses is an awesome track for the Cup car for sure.
That's
Yeah,
right. Sunday night is going to be the night. What was that, Ant?
I was going to ask JT, are we at a point yet, JT, in your iRacing life where I guess we can say whether you prefer the GT4 car on the road series or on the roads or the Cup?
I like. I don't know. I drive the Cup car better. I think if you look at statistics, I'm better finishing at a road course in the Cup car. But
Data don't lie.
I think it's just fun because it's
Challenging.
really it is extremely challenging to be clean and consistently fast in the Cup car. I mean, it's easier to drive than the previous generations.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's not easier than past generations of the Cup car, but it's a handful. It takes a lot of every type of input discipline, steering, braking, throttle control, everything is just at a 10 out of 10. So I like the challenging aspect of it. And just because your speedometer is a high number doesn't mean you're going to yield the best lap time either. A while ago you told me to try it at Bathurst, which I thought you were a complete lunatic for, but I had so much fun trying to wheel the next gen up and down that mountain that it was just a blast just to hot lap it. Like I felt like I was actually in a race, but it was just me out there hot lapping. So I do enjoy the Cup car, I think, more. I mean, GT4s are fun. They're still a challenge, and I think, any type of racing is always a challenge with a different type of discipline. But um, for a car that shouldn't be as fun, I guess, or whatever, I guess you want to say about the Cup car on a road course, I really enjoy it. I think it's super fun.
Just like we asked your dad when he was on Cool Down Lap, to pick a favorite kid. You can't pick a favorite. Ant, how do you pick a favorite iRacing car? Anytime you're in the rig, it's a good day, right?
Yeah, my favorite iRacing car isn't in the service yet. I told JT once they drop the garage 56 car, it's being added to the Road Series. I'm driving it.
I would love that too. I think that would be awesome.
All right. Well, that's all
That's
I
all
got for
we've
the week,
seen.
guys.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I'm exhausted, but again, long races. Congrats to everybody for showing up and showing out all week. It's great racing. I'm looking forward to another exciting week of Midwest Motorsports racing.
For sure. Everybody, make sure you tune in. Like I said, tomorrow, Road Series wraps up out in Indianapolis at the road course. They're finishing their season off, so it should be some great racing. And we got the trucks out in Sonoma on Friday and the Cup cars in Indianapolis on Sunday. Everybody that's listening to the broadcast, I am currently setting up that practice session, so be on the lookout. We'll have a joint practice session between the GT4s and the Cups. So everybody have a great week. We'll catch you guys back out here next Monday and enjoy some racing.
As always, don't forget to stay in your lane.